Welcome to the Bare Metal Cybersysm Prepcast. This series helps you prepare for the exam with focused explanations and practical context. Incident containment is a critical phase in the incident response process, serving as the dividing line between uncontrolled damage and an organized path toward resolution. The core purpose of containment is to halt the spread of malicious activity and prevent further compromise to systems, data, and services. Whether it's ransomware encrypting files, unauthorized access attempting lateral movement, or data being exfiltrated in real time, containment provides the first line of defense that buys time for the response team to investigate and plan. It serves to protect critical assets from further damage, reduce exposure to regulatory or contractual penalties. Containment also plays a vital role in ensuring that forensic evidence is preserved under controlled conditions so that root cause analysis, legal review, and compliance obligations can be addressed after the immediate threat is stabilized. In this context, containment is not the conclusion of a response, it's the beginning of deliberate control over a chaotic situation. Knowing when to initiate containment is as important as knowing how. Response teams should act decisively but not prematurely. Containment should begin upon confirmed detection of a breach or compromise, when indicators of compromise match predefined threat intelligence or internal alerting thresholds. Detection systems such as SIEMs, EDR platforms, or behavioral analytics may provide the signal, but it is often human validation that confirms it. In other cases, containment may be triggered when deeper analysis reveals signs of lateral movement, privilege escalation, or outbound data flow that indicates exfiltration is underway. In certain scenarios, containment must be delayed until it can be executed without tipping off the attacker. For example, if an advanced persistent threat is suspected, premature containment may prompt the attacker to accelerate data theft or trigger destruction mechanisms. In all cases, containment timing should follow predefined thresholds and escalation paths documented in the incident response plan. These thresholds are designed to balance urgency with risk and ensure consistency across the response team. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other podcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Containment strategies are not one-size-fits-all. They vary based on the nature of the incident, the affected systems, and the maturity of the organization's tools and procedures. Immediate containment involves rapid, often manual actions to isolate the threat. Examples include disconnecting a compromised workstation from the network or disabling a breached user account. Short-term containment includes deploying temporary controls that stabilize the situation while a longer-term solution is planned. These may involve firewall rule changes, quarantine policies, or segmented access restrictions. Long-term containment focuses on making configuration changes or deploying additional safeguards that persist after the incident is resolved. These may include policy adjustments, system re-architecting, or expanded monitoring. Containment may also be physical, such as restricting access to an affected data center, locking down server rooms, or securing mobile devices. Logical containment refers to isolating compromised user sessions, systems, or network segments to prevent further spread without affecting unrelated operations. Choosing the right strategy depends on the threat actor's behavior, the organization's tolerance for disruption, and the tools available for execution. On endpoints, containment typically involves a mix of user controls, network restrictions, and process termination. One of the first actions is to disable compromised user accounts or revoke credentials to prevent continued access. Affected devices can be isolated from the network using endpoint detection and response tools or network access control systems. This isolation allows responders to analyze the endpoint without risking contamination of other devices. Suspicious processes, such as active malware or remote shells, can be terminated, though care must be taken to preserve volatile memory if forensic investigation is planned. Unauthorized software, scripts, or persistence mechanisms should be identified and removed. In cases where the threat actor may still be active, investigators may choose to capture volatile data, such as memory dumps or process lists, before shutting down the system. These actions ensure that the endpoint is no longer a vector for further harm while preserving its value as an evidence source. At the network level, containment techniques focus on limiting the movement of malicious traffic and isolating compromised nodes. Access control lists can be applied at switches, routers, or firewalls to block communication with known malicious IP addresses, ports, or protocols. Network segmentation or use of virtual LANs can restrict the ability of the threat to spread laterally. This is particularly important in flat networks where lateral movement is otherwise easy to achieve. Firewalls, proxies, and intrusion prevention systems can be reconfigured in real time to block or redirect traffic. Quarantine zones can be established to hold affected systems for further analysis while protecting the rest of the network. Traffic from suspect sources can also be mirrored or redirected to sandbox environments for further analysis. These techniques give responders time to understand the threat, identify all affected systems, and prevent further contamination. Application and cloud containment strategies require a different set of tools and methods. In cloud and hybrid environments, containment often involves disabling access to affected services or APIs, revoking user sessions, or temporarily suspending vulnerable instances or containers. If access keys or credentials have been compromised, they must be rotated immediately. Many cloud platforms support conditional access policies such as geolocation restrictions, device checks, or risk scoring that can be activated to restrict access during an incident. SaaS platforms may allow suspension of user accounts or deactivation of third-party integrations that show signs of misuse. Cloud monitoring tools can identify unusual API calls or access patterns, helping investigators identify potential abuse points. These platforms must be configured in advance to allow for rapid response, and incident response plans should include playbooks tailored specifically to the cloud stack. Containment is rarely a solo operation. It requires careful coordination between teams, especially when actions may impact live systems. IT, security operations, business application owners, and network administrators must work together to ensure that containment steps are executed safely and that unintended consequences are minimized. Clear communication is essential. All updates should flow through established incident response channels, and communication should be timely, structured, and documented. Prioritization is also necessary. Not all systems can be contained at once, and some steps may carry higher risks than others. Decisions should be made based on asset criticality, risk to operations, and the potential for further spread. Legal, compliance, and public affairs stakeholders should be kept informed when containment has regulatory implications or affects customers, partners, or service contracts. All containment decisions, execution timelines, and responsible individuals must be recorded, creating a traceable log that supports investigation and accountability. A major challenge in containment is balancing urgency with the need to maintain business continuity. While rapid containment is critical, some actions, such as isolating a system, can disrupt core operations. Response teams must consider how containment affects service delivery, customer interactions, and internal workflows. Whenever possible, containment strategies should be designed with redundancy or failover capabilities in mind, allowing services to continue with minimal interruption. Communications with impacted departments or stakeholders must be proactive, clear, and empathetic. Predefined playbooks help guide teams toward low-disruption containment actions. These playbooks should specify alternative procedures, risk tolerances, and fallback strategies. As the incident evolves, the effectiveness of initial containment should be reassessed, and if necessary, containment steps should be adjusted to minimize operational friction without compromising security. Once containment has been executed, it must be verified. This includes confirming that malicious activity has actually ceased, that compromised systems are no longer communicating with external threat actors, and that no residual risk remains. Monitoring tools should be used to validate that known indicators of compromise are no longer active and that no new anomalies have emerged. It's important to check whether containment actions inadvertently affected unrelated systems or users, especially when network segments or shared services were involved. Monitoring for re-entry attempts, signs of persistence, or new lateral movement is critical during this phase. All containment actions must be documented, including the systems affected, changes made, and observed outcomes. This documentation informs both the eradication and recovery phases and ensures that the response continues based on confirmed ground truth. To improve containment capabilities over time, organizations must invest in structured planning, automation, and readiness activities. Playbooks should be developed for common incident types, such as phishing, ransomware, or insider misuse. These playbooks should be reviewed regularly and tested during incident response exercises to ensure usability and coverage. Where possible, containment should be automated through integrations with security orchestration platforms, allowing for faster execution and reduced analyst workload. Response teams must be trained not just on tools, but also on decision-making frameworks and escalation procedures related to containment. Exercises such as tabletop drills, red team engagements, or simulated attacks can validate the organization's ability to contain effectively. Detection capabilities must also be refined to ensure that alerts trigger fast and accurate containment actions. By integrating containment into the broader lifecycle of readiness and resilience, organizations ensure that when incidents occur, they are met with a swift and well-coordinated response. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Bare Metal Cybersystem Prepcast. For more episodes, tools, and study support, visit us at baremetalcyber.com.